And we begin this afternoon with a battle over abortion rights in the U.S. after the unprecedented leak of a draft opinion by the Supreme Court. Thank you for being with us here today at 5. I'm Glenda Lewis.
And I'm Brian Abel. Chief Justice John Roberts confirming the authenticity of that draft opinion, which suggests the Supreme Court is poised to overturn Roe v. Wade, which has guaranteed abortion rights in our country for the past 50 years.
Chief Roberts calling the leak, quote, an egregious breach of trust and launched an investigation into who leaked the document.
President Biden reacting to the news before boarding Air Force One earlier today.
The idea that concerns me a great deal that we're going to, after 50 years, decide a woman does not have a right to choose within the limits of the Supreme Court decision. If the rationale of the decision as released were to be sustained, a whole range of rights are in question.
Meanwhile, here at home, Michigan has a law on the books that would ban abortion. It's from 1931 and says an abortion is illegal unless it's done to save a mother's life.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer tweeting that she will, quote, keep fighting like hell to ensure abortion remains safe and accessible in Michigan. And so far, at least 7 Michigan prosecutors have pledged to protect women's abortion rights, including Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy and Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald.
7 Action News reporter Jim Kurtzner is live downtown outside the federal courthouse where protesters say they would gather to keep abortion rights in place. Jim.
And the battle has taken to the streets. Let me move out of the way, and you can see here we have some signs. Abortion is a civil right. My body, my choice, as you said, that there is this 1931 law that would make abortion a felony, up to 4 years in prison for anyone who performs or gets an abortion. There could be action in the Michigan Supreme Court with this lawsuit. There's a petition drive to make this legal in Michigan if the United States Supreme Court rules that the ban stands. This is heated and partisan, including with law enforcement.
I'm merely sending the message that my office will not be involved in any of these prosecutions.
I have a duty to uphold the laws, and if the laws are on the books, then those laws must be enforced.
Prosecutors and the Attorney General say any criminal case would have to be investigated by police and bring it in before anyone is charged. They signal some counties would be a sanctuary to continue providing and getting abortion services.
Would never charge and will never charge a medical professional for performing an abortion. And I do want to point out, over half of the abortions in the state are not done with procedures. They are done with medications.
I'd like to know how the people get notice of which laws they're going to be charged with and which laws they're not going to be charged with.
How would you respond to that?
The same way the people in his county get notice about which laws he will enforce when charged and which he won't. There are hundreds of crimes that date back to decades ago that we do not charge.
The governor is taking a different approach, as she stated last month.
As the Supreme Court is poised to make a determination in the Dobbs case, that we act now.
The governor saying in a statement today, I want every Michigander to know, no matter what happens in D.C., I'm going to fight like hell to protect access to safe, legal abortion in Michigan. And she filed a lawsuit to urge the Michigan Supreme Court to immediately resolve whether Michigan's state constitution protects the right to abortion. The Attorney General says that would make abortion bulletproof against any future lawsuits.
That would allow for abortion to continue to be legal in the state of Michigan.
And we should point out that the Michigan Supreme Court leans to the left Democratic, just the opposite of the U.S. Supreme Court in D.C., and that final ruling is still several weeks away. We have a nightside crew who will be talking with some of these people. We'll bring you their story later on here on 7 Action News. Live downtown, Jim Kurtzner, 7 Action News.
All right, Jim, thank you once again in this historic battle over abortion rights. Brian.